Welcome back here. I got this article right here that I saw and just the Omicron subvariant now dominating the US is the worst version of the virus that we've seen. I'm Grid 7. Let's get into this little article right here and you'll see just how the fear-mongering's kind of going here. A new immune-evading Omicron subvariant, BA.5, is now dominant in the U.S., and previous heavy hitter, stealth Omicron, is now a shadow of its former self, according to federal health data released Tuesday. BA.5 is estimated to have caused nearly 54% of COVID infections in the last week, according to data from the U.S. Centers of Disease and Control and Prevention. Along with twin variant BA.4, it swept South Africa this spring thanks to its ability to evade immunity from both prior infection and vaccination. The week before that, the two variants combined to make up slightly more than half of U.S. cases. I like how they phrase this, half of U.S. cases. But it goes, last week, BA.5 accomplished the same feat alone without the help of BA.4, which came in third at 16.5%. The BA.2.12.1 variant, dominant until mid-June, came in second last week, accounting for a little over a quarter of the cases. And the so-called stealth Omicron BA.2, nicknamed for its ability to evade detection on PCR tests, came in fourth with less than 3% of the cases. So I like how they don't actually say how much the BA.5 is doing. Oh, here, yeah, it does it. I just kind of... I thought it did. And no, like how they say, 54%, and then, the twin variant, which is only at 16.5%, much less than that. And they say it swept through South Africa. Let's just take a quick look at the cases here. U.S. is about the same. That's kind of about the same. But let's look at South Africa. A lot of people seem to look at South Africa as what's going to happen. And here we have, that's the BA.4 and BA.5 spike. So it did go up and down and dropped off again. Let's take a look at deaths. Rose a little, but there's no spike like you should expect to see. So it does make me wonder about that. But going on, they say the Omicron subvariant BA.5 is the worst version of the virus we've seen. The worst version. To me, when I hear the worst version, I'm thinking it has some pretty significant symptoms, a rise in death count. You're much more likely to really maybe die from it when they say this. But that was done by Eric Topol, a professor of molecular medicine at Scripps Research and founder and director of the Scripps Research Translational Institute. He wrote that last week before the latest numbers, but as a subvariant was well on its way becoming the dominant in the U.S. It takes immune escape, already extensive, to the next level, and as a function of that, enhanced transmissibility. Well beyond what we've seen before, he wrote. Ever notice all of these? I think I've said it with all of them. BA.2, BA.2.12, BA.12.1. I think there was even XE. They all were more transmissible and all that type of stuff than the last one. They've been saying this for months now. The jury is still out on whether the current vaccines hold up against BA.5. They've been saying that since the beginning too, and it's not really, there's a lot of about that. But given that vaccines were 15% less effective against Omicron than they were against Delta variant, even with the booster, it would not be at all surprising to me to see further decline of protection against hospitalizations and death, Topol wrote. Again, if that's really the case, then right here, we really should be seeing a big bump right here, somewhere in here. And the data's not backing this up. continue on. BA.4 and BA.5 were first detected in the U.S. in late March, as Fortune previously reported. The variants, discovered in South Africa, quickly took hold in the country in April and May. I think that actually is right here. Yeah. April, May, right there is the bump. And despite the fact that almost all South Africans had been vaccinated or previously had COVID by that point. And a lot of they actually are not a high vaccination country, but they had a large natural immunity. The pair of variants also quickly established themselves globally, but their rise is often masked because in many countries it's occurring at the same time as the decline of the BA.2 infections. This can lead to the appearance of a sustained wave when in reality dual waves are present, the first from an older version of Omicron and the second from BA.4 or BA.5. A recent study out of South Africa found that those who had been previously infected with Omicron but not vaccinated experienced a nearly 8-fold drop in neutralizing antibodies when exposed to BA.4 and BA.5. Those who had been vaccinated and previously infected with Omicron, I like this now. It's not just vaccinated, not Omicron, it's vaccinated with Omicron. Saw a mild or 3-fold decrease. That little subtle, you almost don't catch it. It's a way that they kind of put it in there, and see, if you're vaccinated, it's a mild or 3-fold decrease. Now your brain kind of flips over this part right here. Previously infected with Omicron. In other words, you had to have the vaccine and gotten it, and you're still going to get it. Alex Siegel, a professor at the African Health Research Institute in South Africa, told Fortune in May that symptoms of the new subvariant are similar to typical Omicron symptoms, which include fever, loss of smell, and malaise. Basically, you don't feel good. I haven't seen any early symptoms of respiratory distress, the major COVID-specific symptoms that makes this disease so dangerous. It doesn't feel nice, but there's a less chance of dying, which actually contradicts what Topol wrote, which is protection against hospitalizations and deaths. So which is it? I mean, you're getting this article very subtly here tries to bring the fear-mongering back and just does all this weird stuff. What do you think? Is it really going to be that bad? No, not that bad. I mean, it seems like everything's always coming out. No, you're going to get it whether you get the virus or whether you get the vaccine or not. But if you get the vaccine, it might not be as bad, but we're not 100% sure. Oh, and you also need not just the vaccine and be boosted, but also have had the previous Omicron virus to really be even more protected. I mean, does any of that even make any sense to you? What the bleep is the virus is not the virus? What the bleep is the vaccine actually doing if it's not actually protecting you from getting it? Sorry. It really should be protecting you from getting it, not just easing the symptoms. Boy, that thing doesn't want to go away. Oh well. Let me know what you think. Grid 7 on YouTube. Come on over to Rumble. Much nicer over there. And I'll see you next video.